Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we've got another set of questions that have come in through my my forum and the comment section of the videos. I want to share the questions with you because they have broader application than the just the person who asked. It's always fun for me to share that information with you, help you to increase your knowledge of what's going on in the world of fishing and fishing reel service and fishing reel tackle and repair. And well, just kind of makes for an enjoyable time to learn a little bit more off the bench. So there's a couple of good questions that have come in. I thought I would respond to them, share them with you. Hopefully you're enjoying this series and this latest episode. And if you do like them, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It'll help you know when I'm publishing videos, and it'll also help the channel as we continue to grow. If you like this video, please just click that like button while you're at it as well. So let's get started. I recently did a video on a Daiwa bite and run fishing reel. I don't have it here. It was a customer's that I repaired, but it is a bait runner. And I'm using that term, and we'll get to that question in just a moment. But it's one of the reels that you have the double drags on. You have a lower drag that controls the feed or line out function, and a top drag which controls the retrieve. The question comes in from Carlos, and he said he's looking at spinning reels. That bite and run looks like a nice reel. What's your opinion of it? Is it a good saltwater reel? And the answer to it is it's designed as a saltwater reel. It's a 5500 size fishing reel. It's a well-priced value in a bite and run series. When I took it apart and we examined it, and you can watch the video on it, the components inside it are good. A little bit surprised that one of the side posts of the main gear was a plastic bushing as opposed to a regular bearing, but that's okay. A lot of reels have bushings in those positions, and in salt water sometimes bushings are actually better because, well, they're not going to rust. But overall, I think it is a good one. Can be used in salt water, and it's a solid reel. If you're asking me if it's my preference, it isn't. I like the entries from Penn and Shimano. Shimano's 3500, 4500, 6000, 6500 series, they're classics, right? Hard to beat those. Penn makes a nice one as well, although it's a little complicated to service. And if you're looking for a value-priced one, the Okuma reels are very nice at the price points that are offered. Well, I left that other question out there as well because the 6 Mitch Cav, or something close to that, says, be careful when you say bait runner, because Shimano's police are all over it, and they'll probably take you down. I like that. That's sort of like when you say use a Kleenex and you're really holding a tissue. Every now and then I've actually become sensitive to some of those trademarked words. I assume bait runner's a trademark word. This becomes a cotton swab, not a Q-tip. However, this is a Q-tip because it is a Q-tip. It was purchased as a Q-tip, right? But Q-tips, of course, is not a generic. Q-tips is a brand name, and I guess the folks that make Q-tips probably have to look and figure out who it is. Probably Procter & Gamble or somebody. Whoever makes those, you're not supposed to use that as a generic. It's a copyrighted item. I get it. I understand it. So I will try as I go forward not to get into the bad graces of Shimano by calling a bait runner when it isn't a Shimano. There you go. You learn something every day. Next question comes in from Mike. This is a good one. I always like these. Is it worth using an old reel? You know, there's a lot of folks that kind of look at the vintage tackle and say, what in the world do you got that for? Why are you working on that thing? Aren't you just wasting your money? They're passe, right? It's like driving a Model T Ford, right? Or something to that effect, although I probably offended somebody by saying that. Yeah, the reels are always going to do what they were designed to do. And here's a perfect example. Here's a reel. This is the Shakespeare Service. I think it's a 1960s reel. I'll put this reel up against anybody, any day of the week, right? You look at this one, 50 years old, 60 years old. You look at the older Abu Ambassador 7000 series. I think this is the 7. Could be the big, yes, the 7, right? These reels are bulletproof, great reels, designed to do exactly what everybody wants to do these days. Line guides, large capacity, round bait casting reel, convenient. Hard to beat them. So don't be prejudiced into thinking that just because a reel is 40 or 50 or 60 or 100 years old, that it just belongs in some museum somewhere. This one's got to be fixed up. But this is an old tri-pillar reel that's, well, I think it's found its niche in the bottom of a lake somewhere. But you know what? This one's going to tune up just fine. Don't dismiss a reel just because of the age. The age of the reel has very little to do with the ability to take that reel fishing. I still fish Fluger reels that were made in the 1960s as bait casters. They're fantastic reels. No reason not to continue to use them. All right, enough said. Next question comes in. I think this is the next question. Oh, next question is actually about a Damn Quick reel. It says I got a Damn Quick 221. This is from Rich. I got a 21. The anti-reverse, it works perfectly except for the anti-reverse. Could you do a video on fixing the problem? If I haven't mentioned it before, I'll certainly do it now. I'm always open to suggestions or requests about doing videos. Most of the time in my shop, what you are seeing is fishing reels that customers bring in, so it is kind of subject to who's bringing what in when. But I do have some reels on the side from time to time. I do purchase reels at flea markets and the like. And sometimes you can request a reel that a customer didn't bring in, but I may have it in the shop. And if I do, I'll be happy to work on that. With regards to the anti-reverse not working on that 221, a lot of times on older spinning reels, the greases dry up and dry out. This is an example of one of those quick reels. I don't remember which one this is. It's the Finessa. But given that these are greased, there's a lot of areas when these things sit for a long time in a metal case, the grease evaporates. The grease leaves a residue behind it, and in that residue behind it, what happens is the things that are around that grease stick. Springs stick, anti-reverse dogs stick, all the components inside become dried out, and I call them grease choke. They're just, the reel's just hard to turn, right? Well, if you're having a problem with that, first go and get a schematic for the reel. This is not that schematic, but just as an illustration, it's a schematic that will show you all the pieces and parts. Locate where that anti-reverse is. Get a good can of penetrating oil. Now, I use WD-40 an awful lot, but I use other brands as well. But get a penetrating oil. Completely soak down the area where that anti-reverse dog is. Chances are, if it's grease-related or dirt-related, that's going to flush it out over time. Simply work on that for a little bit, and it may free up your anti-reverse without ever taking it apart and trying to figure out what it is to do. Okay. This one comes in from Kim. Kim says, what would cause a gear to strip off teeth? All right. 2 gears. This is a spinning reel gear. This is a conventional reel gear. This is a pinion gear associated with a spinning reel. Gears drive an awful lot of components within a reel, particularly in a spinning reel. Most of the time, it just simply takes a big gear to a small gear to turn something to collect line. In the collection of that line, an awful lot of times there's a tremendous amount of torque or strength needed, either in retrieving the line with a big fish on it, or sometimes when a line gets snagged up. If you catch a log, a tree, catch Davy Jones' locker, whatever it may be, it snags up. And folks will often try to power out of that snag. By powering out, I mean turn the wheel, turn the gear, try and break it free. Maybe you think it's a big fish and you're just going to continue to try and crank. Maybe you think you can just beat it by retrieving it in. Not a good idea. Something has got to give. If Davy Jones's locker doesn't come up, one of about 2 or 3 things are going to break, right? And most of the time it's going to be a gear tooth. You'll notice on this one you have I believe it's a brass pinion gear, but you have another type of metal, I typically call it pot metal, as the main gear. One of these is going to be weaker than the other. And when that weaker one reaches its limit, in other words, it can't turn anymore despite all of the pressure you may be putting on it to crank, the gear teeth are going to snap. That's one of the ways that it happens. You'll notice on this gear we have 2 gear drives. The second one drives an oscillation gear, which also has a lot of teeth on it. In a snag, or sometimes something will get caught up in there, these can break, as well as the teeth on an oscillation gear can break. Same thing with the main gear and the spool gear or the pinion gear on a conventional reel. Something is going to give when you're hung up. So that's generally what happens to cause a gear to snap. And they were saying, you know, is it about inferior materials? I don't think it's inferior materials as much as there's a difference in the types of materials in there, and that the one is going to be stronger than the other, something's going to break. And it also, Kim also goes on to say, is it the wrong size reel for the fish? And that's, of course, possible. Remember what I said. You can not have enough strength in the reel to pull in the fish that you have. You can not have enough strength in the reel to pull in Davy Jones' locker or that tree stump or whatever it is that you're on. And something's got to give somewhere, and it's normally in the gear teeth. Hope that helps. Okay. The other one is an interesting observation, and it just says to state it. Current models of reels don't seem to have the quality of the older reels. Amen. I'm not sure I need to answer that, but here's a couple examples. He said he was fishing the 202 and the 404, and I just have a couple of ones here. This is the 33. I'm not sure the age or the vintage of it. This is the 33. I thought this was the anniversary edition. I could be wrong. The models change over time. They change materials. They change format, feature, function, ways to get to it. Somebody said to me the other day when I was doing a bait feeding reel, why did they make it so complicated? And I really don't have an answer for that. But a lot of times the pressures of industry in generating a profit take preference over what the engineers or the designers optimally would like to see in a reel. And it's all based on what does it cost you to make the reel, what are you selling the reel for, and how much money can you make by selling that reel. And if you put high quality product components into a price that's a value price, you don't make any money. So a lot of times they change out what it is that they want to use in materials and their approaches to the manufacturing to try and economize to save that. Unfortunately, over time, that's led to what many believe, like I think this is called Truth Lives Now. The fellow says, the quality just doesn't seem to be the same. I would agree with you. I think there are instances where if you looked at the reels then and now, the quality just doesn't appear to be the same. Last question. It just came in. Unfortunately, I didn't print it out, so I don't have the sender. I noticed that you use deep sockets. Looking to buy a deep socket set. We always talk about the deep sockets, particularly on rotor nuts inside the cups of spinning reels. What sizes should you get? The most common used sockets that I have, and I just keep them in a little container here, is 10 to 14, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 millimeter. I have a little deep socket wrench here that goes from an 8 to an 11. And every now and then you'll use a 15 size. Every now and then you'll use the 8. Kind of have them in this one. But you can get those socket sets relatively inexpensively. You don't need to go out and buy the highest price socket set. If you're only going to use these for reel repair and you're only going to have to use it 10 or 20 times, go online, Amazon, go to Harbor Freight. You're going to find that they're inexpensive. They're a great thing to have. I use them right on my bench because I do use them frequently. The wrench I'm using, I always get questions on. It's a Pittsburgh wrench. That's a harbor-free wrench. You don't need the top of the line as if your career and your earnings depended on those sockets. Just get a decent set of sockets. It'll give you the what you need at the time that you need it, which is usually rotor nuts. And again, the 10 to the 14 are the most common. Go 8 to 15. I think that's the way the sets are sold, and you'll never have an issue with that. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to get those done. Well, that concludes yet another episode of the questions. I hope that you found those questions relevant. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section. I do try to answer them on a regular basis and try to help you out as well. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, and everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I truly do appreciate your efforts day in and day out. I want to thank all of the viewers for watching, for their continued viewership, for your interest in the channel, your contributions to the channel, and for helping make this channel what you would like it to be in terms of teaching you how to do fishing reel repair yourself, and in, well, just keeping your reels serviced so they don't fail you when that big fish is on the line. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.